All right, magic makers. Um, Today is going to be a day that we are going to need to have a little coffee in your hand because we need to talk. And I'm going to start with a stat that might blow your mind. 80% of women over 50 diet regain their weight within a year. And usually it's more. 80%, right? No wonder so many smart women are feeling stuck, frustrated, and like their bodies have given them the finger. I was talking with a potential client who could be half of you right now, right? She's in her early 60s. She's brilliant. She's been disciplined. She's been doing everything right. We're talking, she has a coach, she has a nutritionist, she was doing the macros, she's been lifting, she's been doing HIIT, she's been 95% compliant, right? 95. And after a year, she only lost about 7 pounds. And now, you know, for many of you, you will look at that and you're like, oh my God, what's wrong with me? Like, I'm broken. Maybe it's my blood work. Maybe there's definitely something wrong with me. And yeah, I absolutely 100% believe that blood work can reveal things like thyroid issues or hormone issues. But for so many women, we don't look at our lifestyle, right? Your diet could be spot on, but we don't look at our lifestyle. And your lifestyle is one of the biggest drivers of change beyond some secret lab tests, right? And for many of us, that is one of our biggest challenges. Is like, here's part of the problem that nobody talks about, right? We have been told for I don't even know how many years, like eat less, move more. Here's some macros, and if you just stick to these numbers, presto changeo, the weight will just fly off your body. And then we've also been sold the idea that I need to have more discipline, motivation, and willpower. That is going to be what is going to make the weight miraculously fall off my body. But do you have these things that are going to be doable in your life? Do they allow you to ebb and flow on vacation, parties, when life throws you a curveball, when you're dealing with aging parents, right? A crazy ass boss at work, sitting on a baseball field for like hours and hours on end, right? Because I get it, right? You're grinding, you're doing whatever you can to hit those numbers no matter what, even if it means drinking a protein shake before you go to a dinner party or sneaking chicken into in a Tupperware at a social event. Guilty as charged, right? That's not living, right? That is going through a checklist, right? That is going through the imaginary checklist in your head. And here's the kicker, right? Your nervous system is running in 24-hour crisis mode. And the woman that I'm describing here, like she was a caretaker for decades, parenting, working, saying yes when she meant no, and your body was just like trying to hold it together because you had so much that was going on. And at this point, yeah, you're like 7 pounds, but you're like, you know what? Your body didn't feel safe because your body was on high alert. And even though you were not being chased by the saber-toothed tiger, that's what your body perceives stress to be. Because as much as we've evolved in this world, our brain is still trapped in caveman times that you step out of the cave and you're waiting to be attacked by some type of predator, right? And so because of all this, her body wasn't ready to say, yeah, we feel safe, right? So the 7 pounds wasn't failure. The 7 pounds was like, okay, this is how much your body felt like it could exhale. And it was only 7 pounds. And most of that was probably inflammation because she did take a little bit of an exhale, but she still was like holding her breath, right? And no one told her why just 7 pounds, you know? And I get it because I was that coach. Like many people like, oh, you're not trying hard enough, or oh, we just need to like ratchet down your food and up your exercise, right? So she felt broken. Like, oh, like all these, or especially if you're in some program and you joined the program because you saw all these before and after pictures and all of these people were getting amazing results. And the one thing I always will say about those before and after pictures, one, you'll never see me post a before and after picture because the results that most of my women get are mindset shifts. And and I say when you look at those before and after pictures, I want you to really take a peek at, is there a body that looks like yours? Right? Is there a body that looks like yours? Because if there's not a body that looks like yours, I struggle. Like I too, I look at them and I'm like, all right, but is there a body on there that looks like me? Because if there's not a body that looks like me, I struggle if they understand what's truly going on with me, right? Because at this phase, after 50, it's not about more discipline. It is about nervous system safety. It is about our lifestyle, right? Because we have silent stress that's running the show. So it looks like, not sleeping through the night, peeing multiple peeing either one or multiple times a night, waking up with ruminating thoughts, or not being able to get to sleep because your mind is like, it just starts to like, it's like a party in your brain, forcing yourself through a 5 a.m. workout because you didn't get a good night's sleep, but you're the girl who goes to the gym at 5 a.m., doom scrolling because like you need that dopamine hit from whatever you're scrolling through on your phone. And it also just looks like just pure overwhelm, like just not knowing, go to the left, go to the right, go up, go down, right? So you've trained your body that if you're not doing all the things, it doesn't count, right? Then it's worthless. Like I literally had a client freak out on me when I told her that she needed to slow down. And she was like, well, so let's rewind. I asked her, I was like, so she's like, I asked her, she was feeling overwhelmed. I'm like, great, I get that. So like, give me at least minimum one thing that you're going to focus on for the next 30 days, three max. And she literally wrote out 10 things. And I was like, okay, so clearly she doesn't know how to count, like, And then I said, okay, let's revisit this. Out of these 10 things you've given me, give me at least one or three max things that you're going to do. And she's like, well, Kim, they all matter. They all count. And I'm like, to who? Right? Because if I am doing 47 things half-assedly, then is it really moving the needle? And I get it because I am that perfectionist. Like I am the like, I want to get that A plus plus with a side of A plus plus. And I think I've shared with you that my biggest epiphany through a mentor was like going for the B minus, right? And the key that I've learned over these several decades of coaching and training is that slowing down is actually speeding up, right? Because I'm able to now get so laser focused in on one to three things, and I can actually see if that is moving the needle for me, right? Because macros don't measure stress, workouts don't measure willpower, and your nervous system don't give a shit about your checklist. Your nervous system is like your warning system. It's like, are we okay? I want to make sure that we are going to preserve our health, we are going to preserve your life, and we are going to prioritize your brain, breathing, and your heart. Those are the three things we're going to preserve. Can you keep alive? If my brain doesn't work, I ain't alive. If my heart doesn't work, I ain't alive. If I'm not breathing, I ain't alive. Every other system could give a shit about it. And that's what we have to think about. It's not about the macros. So here's how I coach a little bit differently, right? If this person came to me and said, Kim, be my coach, I am not going to just hand her a plan, right? After hearing this about her life, I am going to say, okay, do the macros you have right now feel doable, right? Do you feel like you're living, like you're chasing these macros? Can you do these macros when you're on vacation? Have you been taught how to ebb and flow these macros so that you can grow and shrink? Or do you feel like these macros are like, this is what you're going to eat for the rest of your life? Because, I've been talking about we need to have seasonalities. We need to have diet breaks so that you're not always in this deficit, right? Because it's really easy to like just want to lose your ever-loving mind. And what would feel challenging but doable for her right now? And as I was listening to her, the biggest thing I saw was that she needs a little sleep, a little bit more me time, and a little bit more stress management, right? And see how those three things, how that helps move the needle. Because, those three things right there might just be what she needs to start to see one, just feel better, right? Just actually, at the end of her email to me, she was like, even though my stress, even though I'm no longer caring for my mom, no longer caring for her brother, she was still stressed. And so, like, that tells me that her nervous system hasn't like learned how to downshift. And the key here is, how do we learn show her how to downshift? Because when she downshifts, that the weight will probably come off, because now her body can be like, all right, I'm no longer focusing on making sure your brain gets enough oxygen, making sure your heart is beating, and making sure your lungs work. Now I can start to look at other systems and focus on those systems. And so I too lived in this like 12-week, challenge mentality, right? I coached fitness competitors for a really long time. I was a fitness competitor for a really long time. And I lived in this like 12-week mentality. And I remember when I first started coaching on my own, I really wanted to create this 6-month program. And a lot of people were like, Cam, 6 months. People aren't going to commit to 6 months. Like they want it like now. And the more I've coached, the more I've learned that 6 months is the sweet spot. Because this is what I see. I see that if you're someone who has been dieting since you were 16, the first 4 weeks is really about feeling comfortable and confident in making the change. Your old brain is like, I know what happens when I do what I've been doing for 500 years, and you kind of try to fight it, or it feels awkward. Like, oh, I'm used to having, making these numbers up, folks. I'm used to having like 3,000 I'm used to having 1,200 calories. You're now bumping me up to like 2,000 calories. That freaks me right the bleep out. I'm not used to having this many carbs. Oh my God, is it safe? I'm gonna be okay. Oh, I don't know. And then like you kind of like you do this like this cha-cha, if you will, right? So that's about 4 weeks. And then after, we have conversations throughout this time. And then, probably about the 6-week mark, you start kind of doing a little bit of the new plan. And then around the 8-week mark, you're like, okay, all right, like my brain is caught up to what my body is going on. And so usually it's around the 8 to 12 week mark that we start to see a little bit of a change, but not much. But I know that when I get to the 18-20 week mark, that's when you're like, okay, I'm starting to get my legs underneath me, and this is starting to feel better. I'm not saying it's good, but I'm starting to say it's feeling good, right? And the reason why I went back to the 6-month focus is because two things. One, there's an actress by the name of Jill Wagner. She's on the TV show Lioness. Really good show. So she's on the TV show Lioness, and in the show, she plays this like military, ex-military badass. And she was this like lean girl. And so she had to put on muscle for this role. It took her 2 years. She's a 40-something-year-old actress. She took her 2 years to put on muscle. I'm going to link her Instagram post in the show notes so you can see it. And I was like, okay, yes, this is what women need to see. That it wasn't this like, 6 weeks to a tighter ass. It was 2 years of her building, cycling, adjusting to get to where she wanted to be. And, it hit me, right? That's why I'm so intentional about your body is seasonal, right? Your body's on Amazon Prime. I had a client come to me last year and she's like, well, Kim, I only want to try you for 30 days. And then after 30 days, I'm like, look, I'm not your girl. If you want to try me for 30 days, find someone else, because I know, like I just mentioned to you, it's going to take you at least 4 weeks to figure stuff out. And then it's going to be about another 2 weeks to like start to incorporate some of the things I'm doing. And it all depends on how fast you're willing to make the shift, right? But if you're stuck in your ways, it's going to be a slower grind. And for women who get the most success with me, they're ready. They're like, oh my God, I am so over my shit. Because I know me, I was over my shit. I was done struggling. And this, if you were done struggling, this is your cry. Like if you're like, I'm so sick of missing out. I'm so sick of tracking. I'm so sick of whatever it is that you're sick of, right? That's you're in the right spot, right? Because that's exactly why I created the flip-flop life, right? Because women like us, we don't need any more rules. We've followed rules for like decades. I ate the same way for 15 goddamn years, right? I was guilty about so many things. I couldn't just go out to dinner with my husband without being like, oh my God, where are we going? I got to look at the menu. Will they have what I want? And then interrogating the waitress about what she was cooking my food in. And then I got to hustle and grind and do all the things, right? What we start to, and at this stage in life, I don't know about you, but are you looking for a rhythm that works with your real life? Are you looking for permission to just stop the grind and go with flow, the confidence to say, you know what, I'm not broken. I'm just doing it a different way. Because here's what I know: health isn't eating out of a Tupperware at a party, health isn't just sticking to the carrot sticks and the crudité at a party, saying no to the cheese, saying no to a cocktail, unless that's what you choose. Health isn't chugging a shake before you walk into a dinner. Health is sleeping through the night. Health is having pizza on Friday night with your family without spiraling out. Health is saying no without guilt. And that's the manifesto. That's the vibe, right? So I want you to start thinking to yourself, what we're looking at overall, we're looking at foods, right? What foods leave me feeling satisfied? What foods, if I never saw again, I would be okay with, right? It's tracking foods that bloat you. It's setting a bedtime, taking 10 minutes just for yourself, like just quiet time. I share the story all the time because I used to think it was weird, but now I'm like, I get it. I had a client who literally like would lock herself in her pantry and like set like a timer outside, and her kids couldn't bother her for 10 minutes unless like someone was bleeding, right? That's like these aren't, I don't want you to do all these things, but I want you to just pick one thing and focus on that, right? Because when you stop fighting your body and you start working with it, your body starts to finally feel safe, safe enough to let go, safe enough to release. Because so many times when I talk to women about this, it's not about, oh my God, I want to lose the weight. It's about body recomposition. And what I know about body recomposition is that it's very in tune to how we're holding on to our stress, how our lack of sleep is just, all these things are just keeping us safe, and our whole system isn't, working as well as it should because one uh, one piece of the puzzle is stuck. I want you to think about it like this, like I like to think of it like a Ferris wheel, right? So like we've all seen a Ferris wheel, goes around. So if I don't get a good night's sleep, I'm stressed like a mofo, then the Ferris wheel kind of gets stuck. And it's kind of like trying to push forward, trying to push forward, trying to push forward, trying to push forward. And it can't because these two big blocks, right, are not allowing it to come through. But here on the other side, you're like grinding at the gym and barely eating and wondering, like, I'll get to it. I'll get to it. Oh, girl, like, here's the time for the rubber to meet the road. We have to get to it now. And if you want some type more of this rhythm, want more of like, how do I get my lifestyle in alignment with my food versus my food in alignment with my lifestyle, then I got you. This is where you need to check out the Flip Flop Life. It is my quarterly membership for women over 40 who are done chasing diets and ready to live life well, eat freely, and feel like themselves again. No guilt, no grime, just living their best flip flop life. So if this sounds like you, do me a favor, go into the show notes, grab a link, and hop on the wait list. All right, I will talk to you guys next week. Enjoy the rest of your day.